Koko's family recently moved to South Korea because her father, an engineer, was transferred to Seoul for work. She was excited at first but soon realized how different everything was. From the language to the food to the social dynamics, Koko feels like an outsider. Koko loves music and drawing and has a deep pride in her Ghanaian culture. However, her new environments make her develop insecurities, and so she struggles with self-doubt when faced with hostility. Her parents enrolled her in a prestigious high school in Seoul, where academic competition is intense, and social cliques dominate the schoolyard. Koko struggles to keep up in class due to the language barrier and feels isolated because she looks and sounds different. Her traditional braided hair and love for Ghanaian local dishes food make her stand out. And this makes her an easy target to the school bully group, which consist of Minji, Sunwoo, and Jisoo. Minji, the ringleader, is a confident and popular girl. Secretly, she is insecure about living in her older sister's shadow but hides it by picking on others to feel in control. While Jisoo, who often echoes Minji's behavior to fit in, secretly harbor the dreams of becoming an artist but is scared of backlash from her family and especially her friends from school. Sunwoo, the only boy in the group, doesn't actively bully anyone, but he laughs and doesn't stop his friends from making other people's life miserable. Just like his friends, Sunwoo has a secret of his own. He loves Korean street food, but he has to keep this a secret to protect his popularity in school. The trio never miss an opportunity to taunt Koko. They make fun of her hair, accent, and even her food. One afternoon during lunch break, Koko sits alone in the big cafeteria filled with students. She brings out her lunch to eat, and just as she opens her food, students sitting close to her table scrunch up their nose in disgust at the spicy aroma of Koko's jollof rice. Minji snickers, mockingly. Eating trash for lunch every day must be the reason you look like my worst nightmare. The students hoot with laughter. Koko feels so ashamed, she takes her bag and leaves the cafeteria crying. She feels deeply hurt and starts questioning if she belongs. She dreads going to school and contemplates asking her parents to let her switch schools. But she doesn't want to add her problems to the long list of issues they need to fix. I will just have to find a way to survive through high school, she thought. Koko changes her routine to spending most of her time out of class in the library. Minji and her followers never comes there, so she is safe. But she never escapes their nasty comments in class anytime she has to answer a question and she mispronounces Korean words. Koko's frequent visit to the library makes Hyejin, a quiet, kind boy, notices her. Hyejin walks up to Koko as she draws, unaware of him staring at her drawing from behind. Hyejin clears his throat, startling Koko. Her pencil falls out of her hand and Hyejin, being the gentleman, bends down to pick it for her. Koko turns back as Hyejin stands up, giving her the drawing pencil. Koko takes the pencil, her hand shaking from the unexpected interruption and the insecurity she gets whenever any student comes close to her. Hyejin notices our anxiety and he steps back, giving her space. Sorry, I didn't mean to scare you, I'm Hyejin, he says, his voice soothing and calm. Koko stares in amazement, finding it hard to believe anyone could be nice to her. She couldn't find her voice and just nods in response. Hyejin tells her, her drawing is beautiful and he thinks she should join the art club. Koko shakes her head, not sure how to respond. I don't think that's a good idea, she laughs awkwardly. Hyejin tells her he is the president of the art club and he could talk to the art teacher to sign Koko up. Koko sees he is not taking no for an answer. Besides, she really could do with a friend in this school that is full of obnoxious teenagers, so she reluctantly agrees. Together they meet with the art teacher, who is impressed with Koko's drawing and her style of stroke. Koko for the first time feels seen and she has Hyejin to thank for it. That afternoon, the news is spread all around the school that Koko is seen associating with Hyejin, who unknown to Koko happens to be the school's heartthrob. Jisoo overhears the whispering from the art students. She rushes off to tell Minji. The trio waits for Koko by the stairs close to the library. Koko walks out of the library unaware of the trouble about to happen. Just as she turns a corner towards the stairs, Minji stops her. I heard you're following Hyejin around like a lost puppy. You'll do well to stay away from him. Don't infect him with your virus, Minji sing-song. Then Jisoo interrupts. You heard her. Just because he is nice to you doesn't mean you are one of us now. He doesn't need your hideous drawing in the art magazine, she shouts uncontrollably. Minji and Sunwoo stares at Jisoo, surprise at her outburst. Koko cowers in fear, wishing they would leave her alone. You don't belong here, trashy Minji warns, and the trio walks away, leaving a frustrated Koko. The three bullies led by Minji goes into the janitor's closet. Minji questions Jizu what the hell was that about. Going off and interrupting me? Jizu apologizes, saying she is just really annoyed at Koko. She is such a pest, Jizu says. Minji looks at her suspicious, not believing Jizu's excuse. I really hope that's all there is. She pauses for a second, remembering something. And since when are you interested in the school's art magazine? Minji questions again. Jizu stammers, not expecting the question. Suddenly the school bell rings, signaling the fourth period. Jizu heaves a sigh of relief, happy to be saved by the bell. The following day, Koko walks into the library, looking around to see if Hyojin is there so she can dodge him before he sees her. When she couldn't see him anywhere, she feels relief but also sad that she has to avoid the only person she managed to befriend because of Minji and her followers. Just as she settles down into her sit, bringing out her drawing book, Hyojin walks in and sight her. He pulls out the sit next to her. Koko takes a deep breath, then look around to see if anyone is watching. And she is right, a few students are staring their way. Hyojin notices her looking around and asks why she did that. Koko told him she has been warned to stay away from him. Hyojin's smile falls. He told her not to listen to them, don't allow them intimidate you. If you listen to them, then you're giving them more power to bully you, he says. Koko nods, but she is skeptical. Hyojin continues, I'm the one who wants to be your friend, Koko. I really think you are interesting. You draw, you're smart, and you love K-pop. He smiles at her fondly. Koko looks at him surprised. How did you know I listen to K-pop? She asked softly. Your alarm song, Hyojin says. Koko then excitedly tell him about her favorite music and artists. The duo bond over their love for drawing and music. At home, Koko's grandmother is visiting them for the first time since they relocated to Korea. Koko hugs her grandma tightly, missing the old woman's warm embrace. The woman could sense she is troubled. That night after dinner, Grandma goes to Koko's room to find out what troubles her. Koko was at the small reading area in her room, preparing for a test that's coming the following day. Koko smiles as the old woman walks in. She goes to sit beside her on the bed. Grandma looks at a small painting on the wall, a piece Koko painted back in Africa. Grandma asks how she is settling in her new environment and especially in school. Koko sadly narrates her ordeal, and Grandma tells her she needs to be strong and not give in to the bullying. People don't like what they don't know, so when you find yourself in a place where you're the stranger, make yourself known and you'll see the magic of teaching people about who you are, and also let them see they're not any better than you, Grandma encourages. Koko nods. The wisdom behind Grandma's word resonates with her. Back in school, Koko meets with Hyojin to inform him she is changing her submission to the exhibition and the magazine. I want to do a piece that will showcase the African heritage, something that will help people understand where I come from. Hyojin nods, quite liking the idea. The following weeks see Koko creating a beautiful mural, infusing the Ghanaian Kent pattern into it. She showed it to Hyojin and the art teacher. Both of them finds the piece refreshing and insightful. One weekend, Koko's parent take Grandma out to give her a tour of the city. They visit the local market where Grandma explores the numerous local Korean street food. As Koko look around the market, she is fascinated with the market structure and the colorful way wares are displayed. To her utmost surprise, she sees Sunwoo, the only boy in Minji's coven, in a stall munching on a plate of Korean rice cake, a popular street food. They share eye contact and Sunwoo quickly looks away, ashamed to be seen. I am screwed, he thought. Koko also looks away, a beautiful coral bag catching her attention. She excused herself and goes to price the bag. As she walks into the store, Sunwoo follows her to warn her from mentioning this to anyone or he would make her life more hellish. Koko, unlike before, tells him she is not afraid of him. Look, I don't have problem with you eating from the street. It is not something to be ashamed of. Food is art and art is an expression of our innermost self, so you should never have to hide to do something you clearly enjoys doing, she says. He stares at her for a minute, then says, you aren't that bad after all, he says, still surprised to hear she won't hold his secret over his head. Koko shrugs, walking off to catch up with her parent. It's the day of exhibition. The hall is decorated and arts are beautifully displayed on the wall. The art teacher calls on each student to present and talk about their creation to the audience. When it's time for Koko, Minji snorts calling her names. Jisoo laughs but Sunwoo didn't. Koko ignores. She walks up to the stage smiling. She starts by explaining the inspiration behind her piece, then goes further to explain her mural, which is a beautiful painting of an airplane painted in vibrant Kent pattern, representing her family's journey from Africa to Korean. She draws similarities between an average African and Korean. Just like the Koreans, we Africans are hardworking people. It is why a man would leave his home country to take a job in another continent despite the difference in language and culture. The only thing driving his decision is his ability to give his best wherever he finds himself. It is why a young African girl, although missing her friends back home and would eagerly want to find solace in the sea of strange faces, but imagine her surprise finding out how much of an outsider she would be reminded to be, she says, softly pausing to gather her thoughts. All the students are quiet and sober. Hyojin gives Koko a thumbs up to continue. Still, this similarity is why a girl who has spoken Ghana all her life will spend hours every night learning a new language so she can feel connected to her new environment. So, you see, color doesn't make a difference after all. At the core, we all are just humans striving to survive while navigating this thing called life. I was raised to be myself, to never dim my light for no one, to never be caught living in the shadow of another, to always be free to express myself and never be afraid of what anyone will think. But these past months of being overwhelmed, I have forgotten who I truly am, so this piece is a reminder to myself and to all who needs the inspiration to be true to themselves. I hope you find this inspiring as much as I do, she says, and walks down the stage. Hyojin stands up clapping and whistling, then the rest of the student follows suit, including Sunwoo and Jisoo, much to Koko's surprise. She smiles widely, happy they love her speech. Minji walks out of the hall with an unreadable expression. That afternoon, students smile at Koko wherever she goes, some of them even says hi. Koko smile back. Jisoo stops her to apologize, saying she never really hates Koko, she only supports Minji because they've been friends since kindergarten days, plus she's jealous of Koko's talent. I also love to draw, but my family and friends don't think it's a respectable career, so I stopped doing it, Jisoo says sadly. Koko hugs her unexpectedly, shocking Jisoo, who then hugs her back. Koko tells Jisoo to follow her heart. With time her family and friends will see her talent and would eventually support her dream. You need to convince them drawing is not just a hobby but a passion. Now you can't do that if you don't draw, Koko encourages. Jisoo nods, finding comfort in her words. She thanks Koko and the two disperse, going to their different classes. After Koko's class, she goes into the restroom too. She overheard Minji angrily talking on the phone in the stall next to Koko's. Minji walks out of the stall, surprised to see Koko, and for the first time since Koko started school in Seoul, Minji ignores her. Koko, still basking in the spirit of her newfound freedom, asks if Minji is okay. Minji pays her no attention as she retouches her powder in the bathroom mirror. Koko sigh but press further. I know you don't like me and I am probably the last person you want to be talking to right now, but I heard everything. Minji looks up surprised. Koko reminds her she has been learning Korean every night. I may not speak your language nor fully understands it, but I hear the part where you mentioned you're struggling in your English class. I can help you with it, if you want. Minji rolls her eyes, not believing a word she says. I know how overwhelming it can be trying to impress people who doesn't believe you could be good at anything, Koko says. Minji, realizing the similarities in their situation, looks away in guilt, knowing that's exactly what she has been doing to Koko since the poor girl joins their school. She looks down in shame and started apologizing to Koko. She tells Koko how her parents pressure her because her elder sister is a straight-A student who had gone to study in America on scholarship. So, her parents want her to perfect her English speaking so she can follow her sister's path. They just don't understand. I never want to leave Korea. I want to be a model when I finish high school. I don't want to study abroad, she says in Korea, sounding frustrated. Koko encourages her to tell her parents her dream, help them understand your dream, rather than be hiding it. You will never know if you don't try. Minji sigh, agreeing with her. You really have a good heart, Koko. Look at you helping after I made your life miserable, Minji says softly. Please forgive me, she whispers again. Koko tells Minji she is forgiven. The two walks out of the restroom smiling at each other. At the end of the school term, Minji English improves greatly with Koko's help. Koko on the other hand now look forward to going to school as she has made more friends and is now in a study group. When the art magazine from the exhibition is released, her piece is the cover for the magazine. Koko feels honored and happy with herself for listening to her grandmother's advice. Jisoo joins the art club, slowly coming out of her hiatus. Sunwoo tells his friends about his love for street food and his dream of becoming a chef. Minji apologizes for dragging her friends into her misery, thereby making them a bitter person like herself. I didn't realize I am infecting everyone around me with my insecurities and pain, she says. One afternoon they follow Sunwoo to his favorite rice cake store in the local market. The group looks at her in understanding. They hug Minji, telling her it's all in the past now. This is how a brave girl from far West Africa helps a group of Korean kids sort through their insecurities and emotional trauma while learning to navigate through her own traumatic experience caused by language barrier. This is the story of courage, bravery, and self-realization.